We are back to wrap up another month of reading. Hello and welcome, I'm Mirai, and today we're going to be wrapping up my month of reading for May. I have a bunch of exciting books that I read this month, and I'm super excited to go over them with you. I feel like I did a pretty good job this month in getting through my physical TBR. I got 7 books off my physical TBR read, which may not seem like a ton. Well, actually, I feel like that is a lot. Not like an insane amount, but for a month, I think that's pretty impressive, honestly. In total, I read 14 books. A lot of those were audiobooks because I am a big fan of audiobooks. And a few of those were Kindle books that I got off of library apps like Libby and Cloud Library. But let's get into the books. I'm going to start off with the books I picked off of my TBR with my TBR jar because it's fun and I like revisiting my prompts. Anyways, first we had a very off-season prompt with a winter mystery or thriller. I did try to be true to the prompt in this book, and I picked The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I think this was a fantastic thriller. It was my first Riley Sager book, so I was super excited to pick it up because I know Riley Sager is a fantastic thriller writer. Yeah, it did not disappoint. I feel like I have never been so unaware of what's to come. Like, I feel like usually in thrillers and mysteries, I can kind of guess what's gonna happen in the end, at least in my experience. There were so many twists in this. I got maybe like one piece of what was gonna happen in the ending figured out before we got there. And I wasn't even like sure of that. It was very much a guess. I was like, could be. But I didn't even know like how that made sense until we got to the ending, and it just blew my mind. I gave this like 4.5 overall. I think the only thing missing that would have pushed it to a 5-star is just maybe like feeling more connected to the characters, more in-depth relationships with the characters, which I feel like part of the thriller is not fully understanding the characters, maybe, So at the very beginning of the book, it's basically like she is arrested or like suspected of kind of murdering someone, at least due to negligence, because she is a caretaker. She's a caretaker, and so she's like accused or suspected of negligence because one of her patients died while under her care. And like you very slowly get to understand that whole situation and how it connects to like the greater story of what's going on. I feel like I could have connected more with it, but even with that, it was still absolutely amazing and honestly could very easily be a 5-star. I was just being picky. But I do recommend picking it up if you like thrillers. And if you haven't tried out Riley Sager, for sure, if you have tried out Riley Sager, you probably have already read this, but if not, pick it up. Next, we have a book where someone dies in the first chapter. I looked at so many books for this, and there were so many good options, but How to End the Love Story was like the first one that popped up, so this is what I read. It doesn't really look like the book you'd pick up for someone who dies in the first chapter. So our main character, Helen's sister, dies in a car crash, and the book begins with her at the funeral. Let me just read the first sentence for you because it is fantastic. All things considered, her little sister's funeral is a pretty boring affair. I just think that is a very fun way to start a book. I absolutely love this. I gave this 5 stars. Overall, as you can tell, a great reading month for me. Going into this, I heard if you liked Emily Henry, then you'll likely like this. And I would have to agree. I think if you like Emily Henry books, pick this up for sure. I think it's a little spicier than Emily Henry books. Yes, I gave it like 4 spices. There's at least one 4 spicy scene in this. So be warned of that. The characters and the relationships are very well developed in this book, which is like what I appreciate most while I'm reading, and that's how it got to 5 stars. So right when I started reading it, I felt like it was a 5-star book because I could see like how she could use the characters and really go in depth with their like trauma and, you know, relationships and how she could like build on that. It took a while for us to get there to that like deeper level, which is why I was a little worried in the middle because, yeah, the spice and we weren't getting to the very obvious like deep connections and analysis of like their trauma and relationships and feelings and all that good stuff. So yeah, it took a little longer to get to that depth, but we got there and it was fantastic. And I just had a lot of fun reading it. I thought it was really cute. Should I give a little more background to this? Basically, Helen is getting her book made into a movie, and she, on the team who is like creating the movie, one of the screenwriters is the guy who killed his sister with his car. Like, you know, it was an accident, but he's there, and that is understandably difficult for our main character. And they end up having a romance. Intriguing, right? I think so. Next we have a white cover. This was my other thriller that I picked up. We had A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Another fantastic thriller. I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars, but like it could very easily be 5 stars again. But this like was another book that I did not, yeah, like I was going back and forth all throughout this book on who I think killed this girl. Well, killed, I never thought she was murdered. Okay, so yeah, so basically if you don't know A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, our main character is like digging up this cold case and trying to prove this guy who was like convicted of the murder, missing, kidnapping, whatever, trying to prove him innocent because she doesn't think he did it. And that guy who was convicted also happened to commit suicide before they could like convict him. I feel like there were parts, I guess, in this, but the ending was for sure a twist. What we got at the end, I was like not close to that guess. So that was fun. I thought this was very fun, very enjoyable. I like the characters. I like the mystery. Another great read, 4.5. It honestly was such a good month. I have no complaints. Well, there were a couple books I didn't like. Like this one. Random number generated from Goodreads list. I did not like Powerless. I feel like that will upset people, but I don't think this is a good book. And it's for me, it's largely due to the writing style. I could not get into the writing style. It just kind of ruined the reading experience for me. Too many like descriptive words that were unnecessary. Like they didn't add anything. And some of the ways the scenes played out, I didn't particularly love. Like, it was fine. Didn't love it. I think, like, the overall plot was good. I think it was fine. I did think the relationship between Peyton, our female main character, and Kai, the love interest, was fun and cute. I liked their interactions. You know, it was, you know, a little heartwarming. It was cute. Got little flutters reading it. And I also thought, you know, kind of like the little love triangle with Kai, his brother, was also nice. I really liked Kai. I think maybe I liked Kai more than Peyton. I don't know. I thought that was nice. Like, there were elements to it that I thought were good, but like the writing style I just didn't like. I think it could have been a lot better if I liked the writing style, but I didn't. I ended up, so, you know, I have the physical book. I read 20 pages of this, like, physically, and I couldn't force myself to read it. I had to put down, and I decided to get the audiobook so I could read it. Like, this is such a popular book. I wanted to know what happened. I I want to understand why people liked it so much. So I listened to it on audio, and I think it was a little better mainly because I didn't have to try as hard to read it, but I still didn't love the writing style even over audio. I like got used to it after a while, but it's not my favorite. I gave it 2 stars just because I didn't think it was good. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. This is like the most disappointing read of the year for me. I can say that now. I don't think I will pick up another book that disappoints me more than Powerless has. And I'm really sorry to say that because I was so excited for it. It's just how it was. Okay. A book with food on the cover. For this, I picked up Magnolia Parks. You may be asking yourself, where's the food on this cover? And I'll tell you, there is a grapefruit, actually. If you can see that, it's right there. There is a grapefruit. There is indeed food on this cover. I didn't lie about that. I was very true to the prompt. So yeah, Magnolia Parks. I was pleasantly surprised by this. I wasn't confident I was gonna like it. I was actually very scared I wasn't going to enjoy it, but I did. I did actually quite like it. I'd give it like 4.25. Like, it was a little extra, you know? Not a 5-star. I mean, it's like one of those books where, you know, I enjoyed reading it, but I'm not completely sure why. I think I really liked the writing style in this one. Like, I liked how it was just like telling their story. Like, it was just them talking and, you know, they're just following their relationship. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but I did. I liked it. And it was also fun because while I was reading, I was trying to pay attention to all the instances that like connect the cover to the book, and that was enjoyable. Obviously, Magnolia and BJ's relationship is awful. Like, I don't really understand their relationship, but at the same time, I'm somehow rooting for them, and I don't really know why. Because their relationship sucks. I would not want that relationship. I would not wish that relationship on my worst enemy. But I want them to end up together. I don't really understand. It doesn't make sense. That's just how it is. I don't think it's a series that I'd want to read all in one go just because of how it might affect me mentally. You know, reading about all of this like toxic relationship stuff. But I will be picking up Daisy Hates, and I am excited for it. And that is all the TBR books I read. Next, we'll just go through the list. So the first book I read in May was Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I feel like I've seen a lot of people read this and enjoy it, and I am now one of those people. I gave it 4 stars overall. I thought it was very fun, very cute, and lighthearted. There's like kind of found family in it. Vera Wong and like all the people she thinks are suspects, they have this like weird relationship, which I really enjoyed reading about. It was just fun watching them solve the murder and watching their lives slowly intertwine. I just really enjoyed it. It was good. 4 stars. Then we had another physical book. We had Begin Again. This was a book I won off of Goodreads, and I enjoyed it well enough. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but first off, the premise of the book was more intriguing to me than the actual like reading about this kind of book actually was. I mean, we're following this girl who gets to see what her life would be like if she made like different decisions at key moments in her life. And it was fun seeing all of those different lives she could have lived. But at the same time, if you're just following her in her different lives, you don't really get as deep of an understanding of the other characters. Like, I feel like we grew to know her pretty well, but the other characters were kind of just in the background, and we didn't really get to see them grow with her, which is just an unfortunate side effect of the nature of this book. I didn't like the method in which she was sent into all these different lives. It was like a very, like, kind of futuristic, like sci-fi-y. I mean, it's not really sci-fi, but I didn't like the weird, like, heaven in-between world, it just made me uncomfortable. It was just weird. It just felt very, like, different than the rest of the book. A very different vibe than the rest, and I didn't love it. Then I listened to another Brandon Sanderson book. I love Brandon Sanderson. I feel like I have no choice but to give all of his books like at least 4.5 stars. I read Elantris and I gave it 5 stars, of course, because it's Brandon Sanderson and I can't help myself. I feel like all of Brandon Sanderson books are kind of about gods. It's basically about, there's this city, Elantris, where all these people who, like, at some point in their life, like, they go through, like, a shift. Like, their appearance changes one day, and all of a sudden they're, like, gods, and they get sent to this city to be a god and be cool and be able to do magic and stuff. Yeah, and then one day, all of the gods suddenly, like, start to degenerate, and they turn, like, grotesque looking, and their magic fails, and they can't do anything. So basically, this world's, like, whole religion just falls apart. Throughout the book, you learn why their magic failed and why there's this sudden shift. And I like that slow discovery of how like the events caused this to happen and how they needed to fix it. And there's also like some political strife that happened, which I enjoyed. It was like just the right amount of politicalness without being like too much. I don't like books that are all politics. So that was a good balance. There's kind of a little bit of a little romance, you know? A little romance in it between one of the fallen god people and his, wife. Anyway, it was really good. If you like Brandon Sanderson, I'd recommend reading it. If you haven't read Brandon Sanderson, you should read Brandon Sanderson. I think I might still like Mistborn better. Yeah, I like Mistborn better overall, but Elantris was also very good, so I'd recommend it. Then I read The Accidental Dating Experiment, because I needed it's just a fun little palate cleanser break. What was it about? Yeah, so it's about these, like, podcast people. One of their listeners, like, gifts them a house, and so they go there and clean it up, and they fall in love through, like, a dating experiment, because she's really bad at finding men to date, and he's like, oh, I will give you advice, and we can go on, like, practice dates together. And of course that leads to them, falling in love. And yeah, it was really cute. It was really spicy. Like, I feel like the spice came on very quickly. If I'm remembering correctly, I feel like it came on very quickly. But yeah, it was good. I gave it 3.5 stars overall. It was fun. Obviously, not the most, like, memorable book. It's just one of those fun palate cleansers that I like to listen to every now and then. And it did its job. It fulfilled its purpose. I am satisfied. And then I read Funny Story by Emily Henry. I couldn't help myself. Everyone else was picking up this book, and I wanted to be on top of it. So I read it, and it was amazing. So I read Beach Read in, like, December. I have to read it again, but I think I like this more than Beach Read. I really enjoyed this. Right now, this is my favorite Emily Henry book, between this and Beach Read. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. Very cute, very good. I feel like with Emily Henry, you can just tell from, like, the first page that it's going to be, like, absolutely fantastic. Just, like, a banger of a book. And it was. So good. This woman, she is engaged to a man. Her fiance, one of his, like, groomsmen, who's a woman, is dating this dude. After her fiance goes to his bachelor party, he, like, starts this romance with, his best friend, who is this guy's girlfriend. And so those people get together, and he ends their engagement and kicks her out of the house, like, the next day after his bachelor party, and is like, you have a week to move out. I'm going on vacation with this other woman. So yeah, be out by the time I get back, with, like, very little explanation or remorse. And she has nowhere to go, obviously, so she ends up moving in with this guy because he also lost his roommate, who was his girlfriend. So yeah, they end up rooming together and are both very depressed. And and getting over their failed relationships. And yeah, then they have a romance. That is the book. It was very good. I very much enjoyed it. I think it was so cute. I think Emily Henry does a very good job at building her characters, and like they all have a lot of depth to them and very fun interactions, very good banter. It's just good all around. If you like romance in the slightest, you should read Emily Henry, and specifically you should read Funny Story because it was great. I think a lot of other people are also ranking it highly in their Emily Henry books, so you should read it. 5 stars. So I also listened to The Neighbor Favor, which I think is a fairly new book as well. I think it came out this year. It was very cute. I give it 4 stars. It's another book about a writer, and the dude's a writer and the girl is like aspiring. The girl's an aspiring children's publisher. They're like pen pals. There's like some secret identity. It was very cute. I think there was like some depth to their relationships, which I liked. There were things in it I didn't understand. Like, for one, I didn't understand why this girl is at a job she hates and she's putting up with way too much from her boss. Like, she's working at like 7 p.m. and she like hates the job. I'm like, girl, at the very least, like, stop working after hours. And the dude also annoys me sometimes. He like ghosts her randomly, and I still don't really know why he did that. That was stupid. But it was cute. It was fun. I gave it 4 stars. I'd recommend it. Not my favorite, but it was good. Then I read Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday. This is another hockey romance. I don't know really why I keep trying with hockey romances. I'm really trying to be a hockey girly. I'm doing my best. It was fine. It was fun. The thing with this one is I did not like it for the first 50%. Like, I didn't understand why I was reading about their romance. I didn't want them to have a romance. So this dude, Mike, his wife dies. Then he starts like talking to this dance instructor. And I was like, I don't want you to move on from this, your wife that you very much loved so quickly. Like, have some respect, you know? It was hard to root for their relationship and like he had a daughter who also very much liked her mom. And I get that people move on. It's just like, it takes time. So I was a little worried about like that situation because I didn't want them to get together like right after his wife died. That just seemed a little excessive to me. Thankfully it doesn't. Like, the book spans like 2 years or something. They just like meet very soon after his wife dies. But like 50% of the way through, it started to turn around and I started to like root for them and enjoy their relationship, and it made more sense because like a year had passed. I was like, okay, you can start dating someone, I guess. But like, it was weird because the first 50%, just like the basis of their relationship, I didn't really like. And then the last 50%, I just feel like was very good. Like, I very much enjoyed the last 50%. I thought it was very well written. And there was depth to their relationship. They were like going to therapy and learning a bunch about themselves and like, you know, how to be better people and whatnot. Like, the ending was very good, which is why I'm a little conflicted. But, like, I feel like I kind of struggled to read it because I didn't love the beginning. So I gave it 3 stars overall. And then I read Maybe This Time by Cara Bastone. Cara, she has some kind of chokehold on me. I don't really understand it. She has, like, such fun audiobooks that are just such good palate cleansers for me. I just keep reaching for them, and I'm never disappointed. I usually give them, like, 3 to 4 stars, but they're very fun. Very easy to read, very lighthearted, maybe a little forgettable, but like if it's a palate cleanser, do you really need much more? And this one served its purpose. It was like a weird, funky, like the girl falls through a wormhole and is like 100 years in the future or something. And she's trying to like talk to this guy in the past and prevent herself from falling through the wormhole. So it was like kind of a weird premise, but it was very fun. I very much enjoyed it. I like Cara Bastone. 4 stars overall. Okay, then I read A Touch of Ruin, which is the second book in the like Hades x Persephone series. I remember liking A Touch of Darkness. Like, I think I gave it 4 stars, but I don't really like A Touch of Ruin as much. Maybe I was just in a different like mindset when I read it, but I didn't really care much. Like, what really happened? They had relationship problems. There was a lot of spice. I feel like a lot of plot points happened randomly, and like maybe they were for good reason because like gods are unpredictable, and yeah, but it was like everything just felt very sudden, and like it made sense in the larger framework and like why it felt sudden, but it happened a lot, and I don't know, I just didn't care that much. But I gave it 3 stars overall. I still think it was like well written and I enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as A Touch of Darkness. And that was it. Overall, I think I had a fantastic reading month. I had a good handful of 5 stars or like close to 5 stars, and well, I knocked a whole series off my list because I'm probably not going to read more Powerless. I don't know. That's it. That is what I read in May. I hope you guys had a fantastic reading month as well. Let me know what your favorite books you read this month were, because I'm always looking for recommendations. And yeah, I hope your May was fantastic, and I hope your June is even better. Okay. Bye.